This new Pope, I've got to say I like him already. Now, Pope Leo was inaugurated yesterday in St. Peter's in Rome in front of 200,000 people who were there, millions watching, of course, and with politicians from around the world watching on. And he got a special hug from his brother, flown in from America. I like the way they're so close, those two. And I thought some people reveal themselves perhaps too much in the way they later congratulated the Pope personally, like our Anthony Albanese. Our Prime Minister exploited his Catholic upbringing, as you know, a lot during the campaign, despite not being a believer. And here's what he later said. He told the Pope in their meeting that Albanese's mother would be proud of Albo.
My mother would be, is I'm sure, looking down from heaven with the biggest smile she's ever had. The fact that her son was at the inaugural Mass of a Pope in the Vatican.
Excuse me, Prime Minister, but the inauguration of the Pope isn't all about you. But US Vice President J.D. Vance, he got a cold reception from the Pope. And that's, of course, after the Pope some time back corrected Vance on X when Vance ridiculously suggested the Bible told us to love our own more than we love our neighbours and to love our neighbours more than we love strangers. I suspect the Pope also hated the way Vance and Trump bullied Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky at the White House, because the Pope then gave a private audience to Zelensky, but not to Vance.
Thank you for your patience waiting as I had to greet all the delegations.
But Zelensky, all class, did shake the hands of Vance and his wife at the ceremony. And Albanese also met Zelensky later and claimed we'd finally loaded onto a ship the first lot of the 49 old Abrams tanks that we promised to send Ukraine 7 months ago. Joining me is the country's top foreign affairs writer, Greg Sheridan of The Australian. Greg, great to see you. What did you read into all those hints? I thought it's fascinating when you chuck all these people together at a disparate kind of, a vague kind of event. They're not sure what they're supposed to do, and read their interactions.
Well, Andrew, it's great to be with you. And look, I'm tremendously encouraged by Pope Leo XIV. We've got to take some time to see how he performs, but everything about him so far is good. He's calm, he's measured, he exudes spiritual devotion and common sense. He spoke first about God, not about politics. His statements about the family and about the sanctity of life have been wonderful. I think there's a modesty to the man, but he understands the gravity of his office, so he doesn't make loose statements or say silly things. We've got to see how he performs. I mean, this is the loneliest job in the world and perhaps the job with the greatest pressure. But I'm tremendously encouraged by Leo XIV. Who would ever have thought the cardinals, all of them appointed by Francis, or most of them, would choose an American? But they chose the right person. And he may come to, express some political views I don't agree with, I don't know. But I think the Church has been wise to use the election of the Pope and the First Mass and everything as wonderful opportunities of evangelisation. And the message he's wanted to broadcast is the message of Christ's love, more than the message of the institutional church or, the dangers of climate change or anything like that. I think he's an even-tempered, wise, good man, and, I hope he has a long and wonderful reign.
Look, you're absolutely right to say the first focus is on Christ. I mean, that is his job. But I thought it definitely sent a signal that he invited the cameras in to see him welcoming President Zelensky into his private office, and his wife too, and showing them religious things and no doubt talking about Ukraine in private. I thought that sent a very unmistakable message that you wouldn't have seen necessarily under Pope Francis.
No, Francis was utterly mean and niggardly towards Ukraine, whereas Leo is very supportive.
And that's after just a few days. Joe Biden, go back to the top of my show, says he has advanced prostate cancer, metastasized, which is bizarre given that you're supposed to be able to pick it up years ago, years ahead of time, and he's had all these tests. That's again, though, raised concerns that he, his wife and his staff lied and lied and lied about him being fit and sharp enough to run for president last year and serve, what's more, another 4 years in office. This is a scandal that seems to be developing. I mean, it should have been developed in his time in office, but really developing now.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, Andrew. So, you know, at the personal level, we all wish Mr. Biden well, you know, and that he recovers or that he endures, you know, well his illness. No personal animosity towards him, but it's very clear that Joe Biden told monstrous lies in office. So, you know, it's a wonderful, I make this point in a column in the paper tomorrow. Trump lies all the time, but everyone knows he's lying, and he knows everyone knows he's lying. So it's almost just not lying. You know, he says, I can fix Ukraine, Russia in a day. Well, everyone knew that was rubbish, and he knew that everyone knew. Whereas Biden told us really solemn, serious, profound things which were not true. He told us he'd never pardon his son, Hunter Biden. He told us Hunter Biden's laptop was Russian disinformation. He told us he was fit and healthy, never been fitter, and fit to be president for another 4 years. Whereas now all of his former supporters in the world of journalism, Jake Tapper from CNN, particularly prominent amongst them, are writing books detailing that his doctor told him he'd be in a wheelchair because he had crippling arthritis of his spine. He never took a cognitive test because it was obvious that he was going to fail it. Everyone around him knew that he couldn't cope. They didn't have a cabinet meeting for 12 months because he was scared to be exposed to his cabinet secretaries. So he knew that he was not fit to be president, but he was determined to hang on, and those around him were determined that he hang on because they get their positions that way too. And this is indeed a scandal. So who is the greater liar? Trump, who lies sort of routinely but never makes a pretense that what he's saying is true, or Biden, who lied really profoundly about all kinds of critical matters and yet clothed himself in the raiments of moral rectitude?
And, of course, destroyed his party in the meantime. Had he only been honest a few years ago, they would have had time to get a more credible candidate than Kamala Harris. I think that's just, his friends should be, or his allies should be unforgiving about what was done to them and their party. Greg Sheridan, thank you so much for your time.